boy, the first little boy, they got run, you know,
You've always given it to Michael Jackson. But now you're getting people where they say, man, Chris is better than. You know what I'm saying?
That's
How
cap.
do you take that?
That's cap. Like, I wouldn't even be breathing or even being able to sing a song if that man didn't exist.
I guess I would have to say I was around 11 or 12 when I found out I could sing.
Same room. Have you all seen each other, been around each other?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me now as far as that situation. I think I'm past that in my life, and I think today is the album day, so that's what I'm focused on. So everybody go get that album.
Chris Brown has remained everyone's favorite 90s R&B artist, and it was all possible because he learned everything from the GOAT Michael Jackson.
Like, the way I look at Michael is like, and it's like, damn, he's like Jesus. Like,
Yeah.
you're not finna beat him in anything.
But he did become successful in creating a history as the top best R&B artist. From his unique voice to his unbeatable dance moves, which reminded everybody of the King of Pop. He really did prove to his fans that he has actually learnt from the master of all. And his huge respect for MJ and seeing him as a major inspiration had everyone thinking Chris Brown could really be the next Michael Jackson.
I know the respect that you have for Michael, and you know, this generation, I could respectfully say you are our Michael Jackson.
I appreciate that. I respect it. I respect everybody who has their opinion on it.
And his matchless talent caught the attention of many mainstream music executives. But when Chris Brown first got into the industry, he was just a sweet kid with big dreams.
Subtitle album, I think I just want to explain who Chris Brown is so they can just I get that stamp as Chris Brown, so they be like, oh, that's Chris Brown CD.
And before he was signed to any big label, he was known for his genuine charm and boy next door vibe.
And you're so young, you're almost 18.
Yeah, a little bit, so you can holler at me in a minute.
Oh my gosh.
He had this infectious energy and raw talent that made everyone believe he was destined for greatness.
Yo, tell me fellas have seen her.
But you know all that glitters are not gold, and that's where his fate took a 180-degree shift, and he lost his moniker of being the next MJ.
I just believe that Chris Brown wasn't surrounded by the circle of creative people that Mike was surrounded by.
Wow.
Because Chris got the talent.
Wow.
He just needed the direction.
Seems like Akon is right. Maybe he did lose direction. But how did this happen?
Chris Brown being a blood still kills me. You grew up in the industry, bro. Why you blooding?
But this wasn't him when he first joined the industry. So was he shaped by the moguls and elites of the industry?
You know, is that a little too much?
He's the real Chris Brown, and he's not allowed to get on stage. So it's the only way he can make his money.
And if this is true, how did they shape him during his rise in the industry? Alright, get ready, because we're diving into what really went down with Chris Brown and why he can't be seen as the next Michael Jackson like he once was. How did he lose his charm? Why did he fall in with the wrong crowd? Was he being manipulated by the elites? Was he pushed into all that bad stuff? And if MJ was still alive, would Chris have still gotten involved with gangs? Let's break it all down. Christopher Maurice Brown was born on May 5th, 1989, in Tappahannock, Virginia, a tiny town. His mom used to run a nursery, and his dad was a corrections officer at a local prison. By the time he was just 2 years old, Chris was already teaching himself how to sing and dance. He loved his parents' collection of soul albums before getting into pop and hip-hop. His favorite artist to watch and learn from was the GOAT, Michael Jackson, and later Usher.
Honestly, like me and Ush, like our relationship has grown in the past like year and a half. And you know, he's just a cool individual. So I think when everybody does the comparisons, like, oh, let's do who could win in the dance battle.
He joined a church choir and took the lead in a Christmas production called Elvis, inspired by Elvis, while in elementary school. Around this time, his parents divorced, and his mom's new boyfriend, later husband, was physically abusive. Chris witnessed his mom being beaten and saw her nose bleed, living in constant fear. Despite the turmoil at home, he was pretty athletic and even played on the 8th grade basketball team when he was just in 6th grade. He went to Essex High School in Virginia, and when Chris was 13, a talent scout visited his small town and set up auditions at a gas station. Chris wowed them with his singing and dancing.
I went to different churches and just sang, and they was like, yeah, he can sing. So that's how it basically started off.
From there, a demo tape was produced, and Chris started handing out his CDs to everyone at school. One of his first songs from when he went by the name C. Sizel was a track called When. Check this out. Chris Brown's first ever music video was for the song Whose Girl Is That? Just look at how young he looks here. He was young, raw, and reckless, which caught the attention of Clarence Jenkins, aka CJ. CJ, a record executive and music producer, played a huge role in Chris Brown's life. He was part of Hit Mission Records under Universal Music Group with over 30 years in the industry and a real knack for discovering young talent. CJ helped launch Chris Brown's career, and by age 13, Chris moved to New York. One of his first stops was Def Jam's offices, where he auditioned for the senior A&R executive at the time, Tina Davis. She was immediately impressed and took Chris to meet the then president, Louisiana Reed. Chris got into contract negotiations with Def Jam and almost signed with them. However, Tina Davis got fired from Def Jam. Chris trusted her so much that he made Tina his manager. "I knew that Chris had real talent," says Davis. "I just knew I wanted to be part of it." Sick date. She started shopping his demo around the industry, and by 2004 there was a major label war over Chris Brown between Jive Records, Warner Brothers Records, and J Records. He ended up signing with Jive Records after seeing the success that Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake had with them. Chris felt it was the perfect label to bring him into the pop world.
Subtitle album, I just want to explain who Chris Brown is so they can just get that stamp as Chris Brown, so they be like, oh, that's Chris Brown CD, instead of just having a title so you don't know who the artist is.
Chris Brown dropped his debut album and hit it out of the park right away. The album was a classic, receiving massive critical acclaim and producing hit after hit. The album debuted at number 2 and sold 154,000 copies in its first week. It is now certified at least 3 times platinum in 2006. Especially in music, it was a fun and interesting year, especially for Chris Brown. At the 2006 BET Awards, Chris Brown took home the Best New Artist trophy, beating out artists like Neo, Rihanna, Paul Wall, and Chamillionaire. He also went on tour with the Up Close and Personal tour, alongside artists like Lil Wayne, Nayo, Joel Santana, and more.
So I know, like, as far as with all the guys, everybody got a lot of energy. It's gonna be a lot of fun and a lot of excitement on the stage, a lot of screaming fans.
2007 was the revolutionary year for Chris because in January 2007, he landed a small role as a band geek in the 4th season of the American television series The OC. He then made his film debut and stomped the yard on January 12, 2007, alongside Neo, Megan Good, and Columbus Short. In April 2007, he was the opening act for Beyoncé on the Australian leg of her The Beyoncé Experience tour. On July 9, 2007, Brown was featured in an episode of MTV's My Super Sweet 16, retitled Chris Brown My Super 18, celebrating his 18th birthday in New York City.
Yo, it's a blessing, because I remember just last year, I was out here and I was just a fan, just coming out here chilling and everything, so to be in this position right now, it's a blessing.
After finishing up his summer tour with Neo, Chris Brown dove straight into making his second album, Exclusive. The lead single, Wall to Wall, didn't quite hit like his earlier hits, only peaking at number 79 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and number 22 on the R&B/hip-hop chart, his lowest at the time. But then came Kiss Kiss featuring T-Pain, and bam, it shot up to number 1 on the Hot 100, marking Brown's second chart topper after Run It. With You, produced by the duo Stargate known for their work with Neo, was the third single, and blew up even bigger worldwide, hitting number 2 on the Hot 100. Exclusive dropped on November 6, 2007, and according to The Guardian, it showcased Brown's knack for blending R&B with the pop-heavy hip-hop of the time. It debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, selling 294,000 copies in week 1, a bigger hit than his first album. The album went on to be certified 4 times platinum by the RIAA. Outside of music, Brown showed his charitable side by hosting a math program for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and starred in the family drama This Christmas in November 2007. He even covered This Christmas, which went platinum. To support Exclusive, he hit the road on the Exclusive Holiday Tour, covering over 30 venues across the US. In March 2008, he teamed up with Jordan Sparks for No Air, another smash hit.
I walk, I ran, I jumped, I flew right off the ground to flow to you.
Brown's commercial success extended beyond music. He even did a jingle for Double Mint Gum, turning it into the hit Forever, which ventured into dance pop territory and reached number 2 on the Hot 100. Billboard crowned him Artist of the Year in 2008, celebrating his chart-topping dominance with You, Forever, and No Air, all making waves in the top 10 singles of the year.
But on the other hand, people love you for your age. They're like, oh, that's a nice, fresh young dude. So, yeah.
And 2008 was the most tumultuous time of his life, which completely turned his fate. In 2008, Brown started working on his third album, Graffiti. He stated, "I wanted to change it up and really be different. Like my style nowadays, I don't try to be typical urban. I want to be like how Prince, Michael, and Stevie Wonder were. They can cross over to any genre of music." No doubt there was no stop for his passion, but signs started to show off very early of him losing the direction. Then he got involved in a tragedy that totally changed his life. It was his relationship with Rihanna. Rihanna and Chris Brown were super buzzed about back in the late 2000s. They were both rising stars with hits like Pon de Replay and Run It when they were still teens. Their relationship was all over the media, and they had their highs and lows. Sadly, one of the lows was the 2009 incident where Chris physically hurt Rihanna. He got 5 years of probation and community service for it, and it really changed how people saw their once perfect relationship and Chris's career.
Mr. Brown, imposition of sentence is suspended. You are going to be placed on formal felony probation for a period of 60 months.
The Physical A turned the once wholesome R&B star into a pop culture villain. Despite returning to music with hits like Freaky Friday in 2018, Chris Brown's reputation has been marred by ongoing legal troubles. In 2008, Rihanna described their bond to MTV News as being like best friends, honestly like brother and sister. She insisted they weren't dating, even after Chris reportedly admitted their mutual interest. Rihanna continued to downplay any romance, stating to BET, "He's an amazing person, but we are not dating. We're very close friends though. Very, very close." However, their attempts to squash relationship rumors didn't stop speculation, especially after they were seen getting cozy at a Grammy Awards afterparty in 2008. Chris also serenaded Rihanna at her 20th birthday bash, as reported by People. Eventually, later that year, they confirmed their relationship and swiftly became one of Hollywood's prominent power couples.
We built a trust again, and that's it. Like we love each other, and we probably always will, and that's not anything that we're gonna try to change.
The day of the 2009 Grammys was a shocking moment for fans when Chris Brown and Rihanna suddenly canceled their performance. It was later revealed that Chris had brutally Rihanna the night before, leaving her visibly injured and hospitalized with bruising and black eyes. In his 2017 documentary, Chris Brown, Welcome to My Life, Chris spoke candidly about that night. He expressed how he lost trust with Rihanna completely, saying, "She hated me after that. I tried everything. She didn't care. She just didn't trust me after that." He admitted to feeling like a monster and recounted that their relationship deteriorated with both verbal and physical fights from then on, from both sides. After Chris Brown's arrest and subsequent plea of guilty to felony A in mid-2009, he received a sentence of 5 years probation, community service, and domestic violence counseling. Rihanna also filed for a restraining order, initially keeping Chris at least 50 yards away from her. In 2011, the order was modified by a Los Angeles judge to allow contact between them without harassment, per Reuters, marking a pivotal legal shift in their tumultuous relationship. So following this, a major part of mass media took positions against the singer. The scandal also caused Brown to lose significant endorsements, including the one with Doublemint, with some music stations across the United States briefly banning Brown's songs. The singer later participated in numerous television appearances during the year to express himself publicly about it. He spoke about it to ABC News. "I never ever had problems with anger. No domestic violence with any of my past girlfriends or any altercations. I never was that kind of person. I look at it and it's really difficult. It's like, how could I be that person?" In the 2017 self-documentary Welcome to My Life, Brown says his reputation dropped sharply after his 2009 A on Rihanna. "I went from being on top of the world, #1 songs, being kind of like America's sweetheart, to being Public Enemy #1. But this wasn't the only time he got involved in brawls. Many people started to believe that the way he brutally A Rihanna can only be done by a gangster. Chris Brown grew up in Tappahannock, Virginia, a place with a higher than average crime rate. Despite this, he wasn't directly introduced to gangs and gang culture. 2 years after the incident, Chris released his album Fame, which turned out to be a big success. This marked a turning point where he embraced a more hip-hop and rap-oriented image, moving away from his his previous squeaky clean persona. Despite this success, staying out of trouble proved difficult for Chris. Various factors, including potential anger issues or being targeted because of his past behavior with Rihanna, might have contributed to a series of brawls involving Chris and his entourage. Whatever the reason, it was clear that his journey would continue to be a tumultuous one. A notable fight broke out between Chris Brown and Drake at the Greenhouse Club in New York, escalating into a brawl involving both artists' entourages. Although the exact cause of the feud remains unclear, many speculated it was related to Rihanna, whom Drake was reportedly seeing at the time.
There's a little bit of a war going on here over between Drake and Chris Brown. There's been some speculation that Drake hooked up with Rihanna.
You might think this was a one-time incident, but a similar altercation occurred in February 2013 at an LA recording studio. Frank Ocean reportedly told Chris Brown that he had taken his designated parking space. When Chris offered to shake Frank's hand, Frank refused, leading to a fight. Once again, Chris Brown's entourage clashed with Frank Ocean, who was accompanied by members of Odd Future. Later that month, Chris Brown faced another threatening situation at a Hollywood nightclub. A self-proclaimed member of the Crips confronted him, shouting expletives and tauntingly asking if his Lamborghini was bulletproof. This time, the threat wasn't from another artist like Frank Ocean or Drake, but from a full-fledged gang member. For obvious reasons, Chris chose not to escalate the situation, especially since he was in his own city. Reflecting on the incident, he told, "When you're in LA and you're around people, you meet everybody. You meet Crips, you meet Bloods. Especially in this industry that I'm in," Brown says during the MTV interview, which the network says was recorded September 11th and it released today, September 29th. "I'm not in the country world. I'm not in the all-the-way pop world. You and hip-hop and R&B and all of that meshes together, especially when you're in these events or these places where everybody can be there. I'm cordial." In June of that year, Chris Brown released a video for his song Don't Think They Know, which carried a direct message to end gang violence. The video opens with the message, "Every 2 hours in America today, a child dies of a gunshot wound, and unity is what we're afraid of. So fear is insanity. Let's love each other." The video is primarily in black and white, with red and blue colors interspersed to represent the Crips and the Bloods. He explained that his intention with the video was to incorporate a theme similar to Boys in the Hood and highlight issues like gun violence that affect his community but are often overlooked. He wanted to bring attention to these problems and encourage efforts to stop them, a gesture that was greatly appreciated given Chris Brown's substantial audience and influence. However, a few months later, he did something that definitely undermined his message. In August 2013, while in Hawaii, Chris Brown spray-painted graffiti that read "Fruits Piru," referring to the Fruittown Piru gang, which is affiliated with the Bloods. The following year, at the BET Awards, he appeared to demonstrate support for the Bloods once again. At an after-party, he was seen using hand signs associated with the gang. Chris Brown was heavily criticized for these actions, especially given that his decision to embrace gangs came at a peculiar time in his life. Typically, rappers make gang signs because these gangs represent the neighborhoods they grew up in and were part of their struggle to achieve success. In Chris Brown's case, however, he grew up in Virginia and decided to embrace these gangs in his mid-20s, at a time when he was already successful and had just finished cleaning up his image after the Rihanna incident. In an interview with Vlad TV, Trey D, a rapper and member of the Crips, expressed bafflement at Chris Brown and others joining gangs after achieving success. He remarked, "I feel it has to either be a psychological defect to where you don't want to enjoy your life and enjoy your wealth and, ride around on boats and pop bottles. Just live a stress-free life as far as attracting unwanted attention and aggression upon yourself," Trey D said at time. The gang signs led people to conclude that Chris Brown must have joined the Bloods. Using those signs in public is, at the very least, unwise and likely to generate pushback. However, a member of the Bloods responded by clarifying that Chris Brown is not a member, but they do not have a problem with him using the signs. This gang member had clearly considered the situation carefully and provided 4 specific reasons why Chris Brown was allowed to make these gang signs. Not only this, he was also into DA in the midst of his career. Considering his past drug rehabilitation sessions and anger management issues and relationship affairs, Chris Brown is famous as a very short-tempered guy. He can't control his anger, and this time he himself has admitted that he has control issues. And that was seen when he attacked Usher, whom he admired as much as he did MJ. It all started when Usher threw a surprise lavish birthday party for Chris Brown on his 34th birthday. And it seems like the controversies surrounding him have continued into his new age. There have been rumors and reports that Brown and Usher got into a fight at Usher's birthday celebration.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
According to a report by Hollywood Unlocked, Brown's celebration at Skate Rock City in Las Vegas went downhill after he was disrespectful to Tiana Taylor, who is an actor, creative director, and singer. Reportedly, Chris became irate after Tiana declined to speak to him while they were both at the party. On a bench in the plaza outside Skate Rock City, she saw the revelry taking place within the venue. The volatile musician unleashed a verbal onslaught at Tiana. He deliberately cursed her, and Usher was watching this all. And when he came to defend Tiana, out of nowhere, Chris suddenly attacked Usher. Not only that, Chris's behavior was also portrayed by several magazines and pages, and according to Hollywood Unlocked, Chris Brown was noticeably intoxicated when he initially approached her. A few guests and even Usher tried to intervene and calm everyone down. However, at some point during all the commotion, Chris Brown allegedly called Usher a coward and left the venue. The drama spilled over outside and onto Chris Brown's bus as Usher followed behind to talk to the Run It artist. Shockingly, that's when things went completely downhill, with Chris Brown and his crew allegedly jumping at the legendary R&B singer. But all his brawls and weird behavior with everyone led him towards the conclusion that he can never be the next MJ of this generation. As Akon said,
Chris is like he got bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him.
Right.
He don't have the guidance.
Right.
He's smart, but he's smart according to what this generation smart attracts.
Chris Brown's story is one of those what could have been tales that really get to you. Back in the day, the guy was a total powerhouse, but then, well, you know everything happened. It also completely changed how people saw him. His image took a nosedive, and even though he tried to make a comeback, that dark cloud just never really went away. One person on the internet wrote, "He's actually one of the most all-around talented individuals in the last 30 years. It's a shame that the obsession over the thug culture took him over. With all that aside, he makes damn good music." Another one added, "If Chris Brown was only singing, he would have ended up like these other R&B artists, but he's just so versatile and multi-talented, that's why he's still relevant." Fast forward to now, and he's still around, still making music, but it's not the same. He's more of a cautionary tale than a superstar. People look at him and think about what he could have achieved if he'd taken a different path. Instead of being remembered for his incredible talent, a lot of the focus is on the drama and missed potential. It's a shame, really, because there was so much promise there. Chris Brown's legacy is a reminder of how quickly things can go south, and how hard it is to climb back up once you've fallen.